Hello! People made fun of me for saying bye really high pitched last time, so here we are again. So this week's session, a couple of decent things happened. I was pretty happy. The week overall, I got some quality work in. So this session you're watching, I worked up to 140 in the snatch, so it was very good 140, and then 155 in the clean jerk, which is the most I've clean jerked in a while. You know, you've heard me mention a couple of times about I haven't clean jerk didn't go great at the end of the last block, so just kind of tipping away this, making sure I'm not fucking being a dumbass with it, so I'm tipping nicely in the right direction I feel, and I'm not going to murder myself or do something stupid. So here's a 130. Next up is 135. Something of a question for some of you listening I might know, right? So at the moment, on the Sony camera, the Alpha 6300, so there's the 140. And then if you look at it on the phone angle, it looks so much nicer on my phone. Now this is purely just something I need to know, and I feel like someone listening might have an answer. So the lens we have at the moment is a 3.5 to 5.6 and then PZ 16 to 50 millimeter lens on the Alpha, the Sony camera, right? But the way they look when they come out on the videos after from the Sony don't look as nice. And that's the only way I can describe it. I'm not as happy with how they look in terms of, so obviously the quality is phenomenal, but the aspect ratio or something, I just don't like it. So if someone could help me or point me in the right direction of what lens might be a better option that would suit lifting a little bit more. So it works great for vlogging and stuff and videoing our footage, but for actually lifting, I just don't like how it shows. So if someone could point me in the right direction, I would greatly appreciate it. And just on time, here's the 155. So the 155 is actually probably the best clean and jerk of that session. So a big thing I've mentioned recently is that I just don't have a lot of tension off the floor in both the snatch or the clean and jerk, and some sessions, especially when I'm fatigued. So it's kind of a combination of leg strength, and I need to start doing heavy pulls again. So the more frequently I do them, kind of the more rigid and the more better coordinated I'll be. But I just need to be a little bit more patient for a period of time, just to make sure my hamstring isn't going to murder itself again. So interesting in sessions, so here's 220 for a double after that session, so on the same session. So my hamstring the upper part of my hamstring is getting kind of a pump during snatch clean jerks, which I'm actually thinking is a good thing, which means it's probably working more evenly and more proactively when I'm doing snatch clean jerks. So I'm going to hold off, keep doing my stiff legged deadlifts, my Nordics, and then hopefully I'll be in a position to do some heavy deadlifts again shortly and hit a decent heavy deadlift at the end of this training block. So then the next session I have for you is, so I mentioned last week that low hang snatches are very useful for my snatch. So it really helps me stay in a better position for the snatch, and it helps me get a lot straighter in my third pull, which is weirdly enough is something that's happened to me in the last kind of 2-3 months. Well, maybe say at the end of the last training cycle, I'm leaning back a little bit and cutting my extension a little bit too short. So the low hang snatches, for whatever reason, just put me in a better position to focus on a straighter extension, and I cover the bar a little bit better. So you can see on these, it's better than the snatch on the floor. So there's basically no jump back. But if you watch the snatch on the floor, there's a little bit more jump back. So you watch those, but then you go into the low hang snatch, you see there's absolutely, well, not absolutely none, but there's a less degree of jumping back. So it does help me fix that an awful lot. So in that same session, then I worked up to I think it was just some lighter clean and jerk volume, so just 120 to 130 I think, so a couple of doubles. Again, I'm not as good as I was recently with pulling back off the floor. So again, you know, for people who coach people or get coached, you kind of always want updated feedback, or kind of automatically assume you want new levels of feedback. But if you listen to our podcast we did with the Animal Kid or Aaron Kroll, he talked about, you know, he got one cue every 6 months, and cues don't necessarily mean that you'll fix them straight away. You know, it could take ages for a cue to become fully embedded and fully become subconscious. So bear that in mind in your training. You know, a cue might not fix itself immediately. You might spend a long time, and if you've been watching my vlogs for any length of time, you'll know that it's something I've been really focusing on and will be for a long time post this vlog until it's perfect. So this is 130. Near the end of these, it got a little bit better. You can see the nice little foot movement. So I was a little bit happier these, but again, I was repeating them to make sure I was kind of learning the appropriate movement. And then jerks are solid. Legs, my front squats kind of dropped a little bit temporarily, as front squats are wont to do. So my kind of jerk goes accordingly, but it'll come back. Same session then. Just worked up to 240 for 3 singles in the back squat. So my knees are massively better, which is great, but the clean and jerks do kind of inflame them a little bit if I do a lot of them. So I just had to be a little bit cautious with the back squats after, just as a precautionary measure. They kind of just kind of awake a little bit of inflammation in my knees when I do a lot of clean and jerks, especially the clean. So I just didn't do too much volume with the back squats, and I'm keeping it low. So then the next session I think is a useful session for a lot of people to see. So it's kind of the in-between days where I talk about, I do 3 full snatch and clean and jerk days a week, but then also the in-between days are the days where I'll focus on stuff that needs to be focused on that's not full lift, usually it's not full lifts. So in this session, one of the other main kind of assistance exercises I have for my snatch is snatch high pulls. So I'm mentioning that I want to focus on a straighter extension, and you kind of following through for a little bit longer with my lower body in the third pull, and I find that snatch high pulls in particular help with this, and they help me focus on a little bit tighter in the start position off the floor, because you're not so worried about snatching it, you're just focusing on a better position. So a lot of volume and pulls does work very well. In reality, probably a lot of people listening to this don't need to do that. You probably need to practice the lifts more, but for more advanced lifters, doing a lot of pulls could be an extra way of practicing, getting a lot of less fatiguing volume and positional work in without having to pay the dues from very, very heavy snatches and clean and jerks or higher rep ones. So then in that session as well, these are kind of Romanian RDLs or Romanian deadlifts. This is kind of the way Gabriel does them, and I've seen a few other weightlifters do them from Romania. So it's very high hips with an extension after, so it's something I need to focus on. So I'm just working on following through on my third pull as well, making sure I'm not losing connection and just driving under the bar. And then last session, the end of that session, I just moved on to some higher volume, higher being quote unquote, to 4 sets of 3, which is high volume for front squats in the current training block I'm in. So I just worked up to 150 for 2 sets of 3, and then 160 for 2 sets of 3. So I'll probably push that up a little bit. So the goal for front squat is 200 by 5. So my best triple is 220, but I've never done 200 for 5, and it's somewhere appropriate for a clean and jerk in 200, so that's the goal. So just putting a little bit more volume on these, and I'll push the back squat a little bit harder. Thanks for watching. Bye!